Hello there, I'm attorney Kelly Longtin from Kelly Longtin Law, and today I want to talk to you about saving for college and what to do if there's money left over afterwards. Now, setting money aside for your children's or your grandchildren's education is a great way to provide for their future. However, it is possible that not all of that money that you've set aside will be used for college expenses. For example, your child may receive a large scholarship and will not need to use all of the money that you've saved. Or your grandchildren may choose a trade school that is less costly than you originally expected. Alternatively, your child or your grandchild may decide to join the workforce immediately upon graduation. Now, when confronted with this scenario, you may wonder what you can do with the excess money. And the answer really depends on how that money is managed. But let's talk about some options. Some options that you have in setting up the monies is to just create trust. You could create a health education exclusion trust, or an irrevocable gifting trust, or a revocable living trust, or a revocable education trust. So let's just look at each one of these and discuss them. First, we have the Health Education Exclusion Trust. And the purpose of a Health Education Exclusion Trust is to provide for the education and the medical needs of multiple beneficiaries over more than one generation. So typically grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And if money is left over because one beneficiary did not need all of it, it will not affect the operation of the trust. For example, a different beneficiary may decide to go to medical school and thus utilize the perceived excess. Now, if you work with an experienced estate planning attorney, then you can create an irrevocable gifting trust. And your attorney can help you include instructions for how the trustees should handle the remaining funds if the beneficiaries do not actually need them. You're free to include instructions in the trust document that allows the beneficiaries to use the remaining funds to purchase a home or to start a business or save it for a nest egg for retirement. Alternatively, you could name a different beneficiary, maybe a family member or a friend or a charity, to receive the remaining amount. You can also set up a revocable living trust. So similarly, if you choose to add a provision to your existing revocable living trust to provide for the education expenses of your child or your grandchild upon your death, then you can include instructions for what will happen to the remaining money if the entire amount is not needed. Additionally, with the revocable trust, you can change your mind and draft additional contingencies into your plan up until the time that you pass away or you become incapacitated. And then we have a revocable education trust. Like a revocable trust, a revocable education trust can also be changed up until your death or your incapacity. Because the funds held by the trust will be likely distributed during your lifetime, you can amend or revoke the trust if you or the beneficiary's life circumstances change. You can add or remove beneficiaries, you can transfer money or withdraw money from the trust, or create a different set of criteria for making distributions to the beneficiaries. Now, there's also accounts that are created by statute. So accounts established pursuant to a state's Uniform Transfers to Minors Act or Uniform Gifts to Minors Act are set up to hold money and property on behalf of a minor. They impose no education-specific requirements for the use of money, and the only generally understood prohibition is that the money should not be used for expenses that are normally deemed to be parental obligations: food, clothing, shelter, things of that nature. Once the minor reaches the age of majority, either 18 or 21, depending on the state in which you live, the money is turned over to the owner to use freely. Now, if the minor passes away with funds remaining in the account, it will be distributed according to the state's intestate statute. There are also state or federal education plans. The IRS publication 970 sets forth similar regulations regarding 529 plans and covered education savings accounts, or ESAs. The money held in 529 plans and the ESAs can be rolled over from one account to another of the same type, and the designated beneficiary on the account can be changed to be a member of the beneficiary's family. A rollover can be for the benefit of the same beneficiary or another member of the beneficiary's family. Maybe it's a spouse or a child or a stepchild or a sibling or a parent, anyone who's under the age of 30. However, the age limitation does not apply if the new beneficiary is a special needs beneficiary. Now, while there are no federal tax consequences for rolling over an account, it is important to check with your tax advisor regarding the state income tax consequence if you received state tax breaks for your prior contributions and are now rolling the account over to an account in a different state. If there is no one likely to use the funds for qualified education expenses, the funds can be withdrawn and used for non-qualified expenses. However, they will be subject to income tax on the investment earnings as well as a 10% penalty. There are many different options for funding your family's educational future, and what happens to any unused funds largely depends on what option that you choose. Now, we're here to assist you and your financial team in choosing the best strategy for your unique situation to ensure that your wishes are carried out. Please call us today to schedule a virtual or an in-person meeting. I want to thank you for watching. I'm Attorney Kelly Longtin from Kelly Longtin Law, where we provide effective estate planning for everyday families.